from Thailand, Dr. Naramvit Sombatsokso. Okay, so this is how our last session for today is going to work. I'm going to ask each of our panel members to give us their perspectives. They've listened to the discussions in the past few days, and I have to say that I feel very good with observing the energy and the activity in the room. I'd like to, give all of you guys, give yourselves a round of applause for all of your hard work these past 2 days. Okay, so now we have, after having taken in all of this information, we have our colleagues from the region, from around the world. I guess now is the time to start looking forward, start synthesizing some of the issues, some of the ideas, and start planning what would be our next moves. Okay, so I'd like to ask each of the panel members to give us their own perspectives, maybe do a bit of synthesis on what has transpired the last few days. And then after each of them has given, shared with us their thoughts, we'd like to open the discussion to the whole group, maybe to comment on what the panel members have said, and maybe even add your own suggestions. And hopefully, over lunch, we can do some more synthesis. Okay, maybe start forming some action groups, maybe the seed for future committees or work groups will come from these discussions this morning and over lunch. Okay, so let's start. May I ask Dr. Lito Dayanan to kick us off? Thank you.
Morning. Morning.
Ito na lang.
I can show. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I think what I saw since yesterday is just the tip of the iceberg. So we're talking about journals, and I think I have to present to you the landscape research, because these are where all the papers which you're going to publish, for example, or have been publishing in the last decade or so. Let's try to look at what's happening deep down there at the grassroots. So let's try to look at some research scenarios concerning Philippines, because these are what will power up your journals. Even if you have a very good journal, if there are no mass of faculty members who will be doing research, or who will provide your journals with quality papers. This is not intended for this seminar, so I just brought in some PowerPoints from my lectures from the Philippines, just to give perspective to researchers. We try to reach out to a lot of universities. Okay, since January last year, I've been going around looking at universities. So for example, St. Louis University Baguio reached out to 21st universities, greater than 15 universities, University of Regina Carmel in Los Bulacan, and so on and so forth. So there are about 400 plus universities. We're trying to look at the research capabilities. And this is the observations. Okay, there is a critical mass of universities which are currently structuring their research offices and activities according to and considering to publish actively international journals. There is also, it's a very basic, I was shocked to learn about this, a widespread misconception about research, what research is. What is the research process and research outputs? Research outputs versus thesis and dissertations. We're talking here in technical terms. research management, institutional level, and research management at the project level. These are two different things, and universities do not think about this quite critically. So what do you think of the outputs? And this, within this, for example, these are very basic knowledge about research. So you can just imagine the research productivity of the universities. And we're just looking at the tip of the iceberg. We have, since 2010, we have about 2,185 universities across the Philippines. So compared to your universities, Doctor, in Thailand's 160. Universities of Germany, 385, I think. Italy has 300 plus. The Philippines has 2,185. And I'm going to show you later on the productivities of these universities. Okay, here's the current mindset. Universities want to publish to enhance their accreditation status. So this is feeding your journals. I've known a lot of journals that see only publication if the accreditors are coming. So therefore, that's the wrong mindset again. So it's not a good stimulus to promote research. Okay, now there is a heightened imperative for universities to revisit what really a university is. Because again, in the minds of the universities, we're looking at corporatization of Philippine universities. We make businesses out of our universities, not really to educate. So we have to revisit the basics and re-educate the universities. Okay, we failed to, just very briefly, we failed to recognize processes, dynamics within the university when it comes to research. And this is where, for example, this is where your journal will come in as part of the process, the end point of the research process, publication, invention, discoveries, and not thesis and dissertation. Now for the researchers, look at research administrator. The product of this is the development of the research culture. So there are two ways, two pathways for research productivity. So what we are doing now here is just one of the outputs, this publication. Okay, so we cannot go discussing academic publication without talking about research. So I'm putting now on the table a graver situation. It's not only trying to solve problems concerning how lively your journals will be, but rather let's go back to the roots, and we have all responsibilities to do this. Okay, if we try to look at the structure of a university, Philippine universities are mandated to provide instruction, research, and extension service. Now the product of this are thesis and dissertation, but universities are reporting this as their research output. Again, there is a discordance of the two. While research, we come up with productivity of research, for example, invention discoveries. Now, thesis and dissertations can only become a product of the research mandate of the university if these are published in technical journals. Okay. Let's try to. So we have here technical definitions, very basic again, which the universities are not considering very seriously. The discovery, invention, publication. This is where we come in. So mostly our local publications should come from thesis and dissertation and from research projects. But what we see in Philippines are actually terminal reports. Upon submission of terminal reports, these reports will now stay in the library and gather dust. They're not published. Okay, just look at some profiles. You can see here, reported researches are largely profiling developmental intervention studies. And I've saw some journals, they have published this. It's nothing novel actually, in this case. Well, we have mentioned that, misinterpretation, technical definition of researches, and more than 90% reported research outputs are thesis and dissertation. And if you look at the whole scenario, the culture of publication is not developed, truly. except in 8 out of 78 universities. I'm talking now here of Metro Manila and Region 3 universities. Or